What's up, guys? It is JZNES back again with another game. Today we're talking A Boy and His Blob on the NES there. Now, what's actually cool about A Boy and His Blob on NES there, at least my copy, is I have it signed by the guys who made it, David Crane and Gary Kitchenin, right? That's his name, yep. I got that signed at Portland Retro Gaming Expo. That's where I'm wearing the shirt. I also got this when I was on that same expo there. They were there one of the 2 years that I went. I think the most recent year, and I got them to sign that. So that's pretty cool there. Most people were having them sign like Pitfall and stuff like that, but I had them sign A Boy and His Blob because that's one of my favorite NES games. So I was kind of surprised that I had brought them that to sign, but of course I had to because it's such a great game. I don't even know if I've ever really played much of Pitfall, but I do know that game was really influential or whatever. But Boy and His Blob is such a great NES game, and it's one of the original NES games I played via emulation back in the day. I've told the story before how my brother set me up with an emulator and a bunch of games, and a few of them that I played was like Kirby's Adventure and like the Mario games, and I played like I think like the first Final Fantasy and a few games like that. Trying to think what the other ones were, but like the Mega Man games, like some of those, like the first two, I think. Just stuff like that. Some of the Eternal Classic, games. And then I played some crap like Terminator and stuff. And Metal Gear was another one I did off of there, which is kind of funny. So that version's not like very good. But I did. I played through the whole thing. I used like emulation to mitigate the password system of that game. But yeah. But also I have a boxed copy. I got this for like $30, I think, at Disc Replay a number of years ago. So that's really cool. It's really nice, really good shape there. I made my own little copy of the sequel there. I didn't bring out the Wii game, but it's sitting over there in the backlog, I believe. Yep, so there it is. So why I'm replaying A Boy and His Blob, this is a replay, but is because the fact that I need to review this and the sequel there. But anyway, back to the story. This was one of those early emulation games, and so now I'm kind of nostalgic about the game. I really think that the game is very nostalgic to me in those early days of the NES, so it really reminds me of a simpler time when I didn't have every NES game, but I had just a handful. Zelda 2, that was another one I played a lot of. I just thought of that. Anyway, where and the wonders of save states, because this game is certainly a game that is very heavily benefited by save states, and I did do that back then. I even did that on easy games like Kirby and whatnot. I just wanted to kind of get through them, but I distinctly have very good memories and some frustrating memories of playing this game very, very late into the night and into the early morning on my dad's old laptop there at his place, and so that just makes me smile thinking about that. I think that's really cool. The memories that I have with the game. So anyway, more recently, about the time when I was contemplating starting something of a JZNES like thing. It wasn't JZNES yet. This is something I came up with later on. Originally, it was going to be called JZ Game Slayer or something. Game Slayer was the thing. There's still a channel, I think, about that or something. And I don't think it has any subscribers. And I never posted anything on there, but I was going to use that for something. I don't even know if I could still get into that channel. But anyway, yeah, JZ. It was just Game Slayer. It wasn't JZ yet. When JZNES, I just thought of that. I'm just like, JZNES. It works. It's perfect. So this is the proto. Well, my point was, this was the first game I was going to review for JZNES, especially when I came up with JZNES later on. This was the game where I was like, A Boy and His Blob. This is the one I was going to do, and I even did a whole playthrough on the NES with it. And I just never got around to making a full JZNES style video, and it was always one I kept in the back of my mind to kind of do one day. It would have been the unofficial third game to the trilogy there. It would have been official. Damn it, now we're on the Faxanadu soundtrack. See, the soundtrack's only like 5 minutes long, so I knew this was going to happen. Great soundtrack, by the way. I know it's short, but it doesn't even matter because the whole time you're listening to it, it has just that one track, the you know, the one that da 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 da. That one that like plays through most of the game, and then later on it has that, and then it's like that's like the ending one when you're in the final part there. But yeah, so I love that there. I was gonna throw on the starter with Snake Eater. That's so funny. This is just gonna be best video. Okay. So this is the problem with this though. Okay, sure, good enough. I don't know. Anyway, this is just a random playlist of like some great video game music. So yeah. Anyway, for the longest time, that was how I played this game, was on emulation. I even made a reference to it in the JZNES video, if you watch. And it was because I was trying to introduce this little adapter here, which I still am using to this day, you know, like 6 or 7 years later or whatever. I'm using this same adapter, Retrobit. They don't make these anymore, at least not on the site, as far as I could tell. I looked it up today to try to get a new one, because I thought mine was broken, but it's actually not broken, it's just my emulator sucked. So, there we go, Wind Waker, that's good. When I used RetroArch instead of just the emulator there, it worked out, and because all it was doing was I was trying to input the buttons, but it would just recognize up and left, and it wouldn't recognize down or right or any of that. So, but I figured it out. I wanted to play it on emulation again because I know that, especially later on in the game, and the final part, there's a lot of like instant death traps. You only get 5 lives in the game, and there's no way, as far as I know, to get more lives. So yeah, you kind of have to really work with that, and that's fine for the most part. I guess I'll try to explain. The game is kind of a big, I don't want to say collectathon, but it's like a puzzle game in a sense. Not like a puzzle game like Tetris, but like a explorative sort of puzzly game where you have to kind of figure out the elements. You have many different powers. You have this blob who follows you around the whole game. You're some kid, like, you don't have any powers. This blob is the guy who has the powers. So you have to feed him jelly beans. Each jelly bean has a different power. There's like the ladder one, which you use a lot, which is like the licorice one. Each flavor has a different ability. The trampoline one, which is the tangerine one, you use a lot. So you see how these they have similar sounding things, or there's like a pun to it, like the jack is an apple jack. Like it's the apple flavor, apple jack. Like that's the thing. You only use that like once or twice in the whole game, like to hit a manhole off or something like near the end there. But yeah, so there's a bunch of those. Let's just go over those quick. The cinnamon one is a blowtorch. You use that to burn down spider webs. There's a ketchup one, which doesn't have any effect. It's just a joke, I think. Yeah, it even says right here that it doesn't do anything. But, so, the strawberry one builds a bridge. You use that a few times. The cola one builds a bubble, so you can use that to breathe underwater. You have the coconut one, which doesn't really do anything. It just turns them into a ball. I think you can like roll it so you can see the next screen or something. It's kind of useless. The hummingbird one is in case like he gets stuck somewhere, the blob that is gets stuck somewhere that you can't like get to him from, and then he could just like fly up to you from there. So that's pretty cool. The jack one I already talked about. You get this one later. It's the lime one. You only have 2 of them, but it's used to unlock doors, and there's only like 1 door used to unlock it with it in the whole game, which is the very final area. So that's the thing. Like, you don't want to waste these But the game gives you kind of enough of each of them to not really be able to run out. It did like run out as a kid a few times, and that kind of resulted in dead games. And that's a thing that you can kind of do in this game is you can kind of get yourself stuck to where you might have a dead game and you'll have to just retry. That doesn't happen a lot, but I did have a save state that I made where it's right before this part with these like falling little pedal things or whatever at the end of the game, and there's no way I can equip the thing you have to do is equip the orange one, which gives you like this gun where you can like shoot the things with vitamin C or whatever to destroy them. So that's cool and that's funny. The game has a good sense of humor about it as well, which I also like a lot. But yeah, you also use that to that's kind of the weakness of these aliens or whatnot, is the vitamin C. But the funny thing is, you're getting these treasures. This is the collectathon aspect of the whole game, is there's these treasures kind of in this whole big underground area for the most part. And you have to find different ways to get to each of them. And so once you get all of these treasures, you have to make your way back up to the surface where you start, and then from there you go to this health food place, and you buy this vitamin C power, so you can have this gun and go take on the final boss in that area there. So, but before you can do that, you have to collect all these treasures. But the funny part is, you're just collecting treasures to basically buy fruit. You know, like oranges and like vitamins, essentially, which is just kind of funny. You're collecting all this crazy treasure, and it's all under these perilous circumstances just so you can buy vitamins. But yeah, so yeah, and then the Vita Blaster, that comes from the orange, yeah. Oh, and the vanilla one gives you an umbrella. That's another one. The root beer one gives you this rocket, which you only use to get to the final part of the game. So yeah, so you got all of those powers, and you only get a few of those kind of after you come up at the final part there. I think you need to get enough treasures maybe, or just maybe when you kick the manhole off there so you can get back to the surface. You get the lime one and the orange one there. But yeah, so you're kind of exploring. You're pretty vulnerable, which is interesting. You know, you can pretty much do whatever with the blob, but you're pretty vulnerable. If you take falling damage if you fall from too high, which is kind of a thing. Usually you can get to wherever that is that you would be falling to with the umbrella power-up. Helps you, like, float down and stuff. So that's good. So you just have to know when to use the certain power-up. So that comes down to some trial and error, which, since you only have 5 lives, you kind of have to just make, like, a perfect run through the game. The frustrating part is that part's all fine and good. You can definitely master the first part of the game there. It's just like the last fourth of the game, or like the last, I don't know, it's not very long of the game, but the last little section of the game is that area where you're just, it's a side-scrolling game, so you're just side-scrolling and you're avoiding a bunch of pretty much instant death hazards. And I think that's the portion where if you didn't have save states, and you had to do the whole game again just to get to those parts, just to try to do those parts again and again, that would be frustrating. And that's kind of the experience I had when I went to replay the game on the NES for the review that I was going to do. So, and I think I actually have a script for that somewhere sitting around. I'll look for that. That's one I want to look around for. I don't know if I put that online or what, but so yeah, so that could be frustrating. Another game that, through the power of emulation, is very much helped rather than hindered for emulation. People would say that maybe makes the game easier. Yeah, it actually takes some of the bullshit away from the game. I would say it makes the game very much more enjoyable, I would say, the emulation factor there. So to me, that helps a lot. That helps a lot to mitigate a lot of the frustration of the game. Not that the game is super frustrating, but there would be moments like that where you might just fall and die and you run out of lives and you have to start the game again. That's how NES games were, though, and I totally understand that. And as far as NES games go, this isn't like one of the harder ones. You know, it kind of has that NES difficulty near the end there, but, you know, it's not so bad. And I do definitely appreciate the better and more unique aspects to the game, such as the different power-ups and just some of the challenges on the underground section trying to get the treasures and whatnot there. And I think that's such a cool... It's such a cool game and such a cool concept for a game, is collect all these treasures and then go do the final part there. It's almost Zelda-esque in a way, or Metroid-esque or something like that, where you have all these power-ups and you just kind of have to decide how to use them and when to use them. And certain power-ups can be used in different ways to do the same thing. So you kind of have a little bit of variety there in exploration of the power-ups. And so when I was a kid, what I would do is I would just kind of try a little bit of everything, and then just, like, you know, either save state or reset until I've kind of figured out what to do. Nowadays there's YouTube and whatnot, and there's actually a really handy map. I think that might have been out back in the day, I don't know, but like a map where it's just like the whole layout of that first section of the game there, and it shows you all the treasures in it. It's like, you know, it's like the exact like scale model of that area, which is just kind of a big square underneath this like city there. But yeah, so it's kind of, I love those. I love those where it shows like the whole game, you know, pixel for pixel. I love that. I think that's cool. Those are definitely really helpful, and it actually shows you too where you can use each of the blob power-ups, or like the best one to use in that spot to kind of get you to the next part there. So if you are struggling with the game, you can use a guide. Now, I would almost say some of the fun of the game isn't using the guide and just trying to figure out what power-up would get you to the next part and whatnot. But some of the treasures are kind of well hidden, but also that would encourage a lot of replayability, and definitely isn't really one of the bullshit difficulty supplements from back in the day. You know, there was a lot of ways that on the NES they kind of wrung you for every moment of your time, because they knew that this game was going to be the game you were playing for a long time, and a lot of those really didn't work out. And one of the most antiquated ones that just like is totally unnecessary nowadays is just the whole live system in general. You know, if this game was a game where you had unlimited continues and you just kind of started from like the checkpoints that they give you when you die and whatnot, I think that would have been really cool, and I think that would have been awesome. Now, kids would have beat the game a lot sooner back in the day, and I understand that's just kind of how it is. But, you know, we have the sequel and the remake for those concepts as well. Hopefully the remake isn't, like, specific amount of lives and then you just die. Hopefully there's, like, a good checkpoint system there. Because this concept could be definitely expanded upon to make a much longer game. I like that the game is short. It probably only takes, like, a half hour to just do one run of it, you know? But you perfecting all these runs leading up to that perfect run is really the challenge of the game. And it's up to you if you want to mitigate some of that challenge by using save states or not. That's just my thing that I prefer to do, because, you know, I got to beat a bunch of games, and I got other games to beat and other games to play, and I played this one before, you know? If it was a new game, I don't know that I would necessarily be using that as much. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. But yeah, so, I think that it's a really good game, and it's a really unique NES game, and it's definitely one of my favorite NES games. I'm trying to think where I even put it on the old list there, top 100 list. If I put it on there, it should be on here if it's not. But I do definitely really enjoy this game. Oh, God. See, it didn't make the cut. Wait. No, it did make... Okay, I think it should have made the cut. I'm looking at the candidates list here, which I didn't cut all of them from. So, let me see here. Yep, A Boy and His Blob. So number 75 there, which I think is fair. It's a game that I like a whole lot, and I think it's a very good NES game. And it holds up super well, I would say, other than maybe like that final part there where there's a bunch of cheap deaths and stuff. A lot of it feels pretty fair. But, it's nice. It's just like a lot of it is just figuring out how to really do everything, and I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, Boy and His Blob there. I'm gonna okay. Well, so the gameplay is good. The puzzle elements are cool. I like how the Blob and the boy, they're just unique, and he's got really good animations and that kind of and stuff. It's a really good looking NES game too, I would say. It's simple but very well realized, you know. I think that's definitely a strength of the game, is they took one simple concept and did a whole lot with it. The music's really good, even though there's a limited amount of tracks. The music is still very good, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It still feels very energetic and lovable the whole time. And yeah, so I'm gonna give A Boy and His Blob a 9.2 out of 10. So it's a great game, one of my favorite NES games. You should definitely play it. So until next time, this has been JZNES saying keep it classic, stick around for more reviews, underrated games, and I'll see you guys in the next one. JZNES.